The moment you stop reaching out, something changes, not in him first, in you. And that change is exactly what he notices. Because when a man becomes used to your calls, your texts, your good morning messages, your constant checking in, your effort to keep the connection alive, he can start believing that you will always be there no matter what he does. But the moment you stop carrying the entire relationship on your back, the silence begins speaking for you. And suddenly, he has space to notice things he was too comfortable to see before. He notices your absence. He notices your energy. He notices how much you were actually giving. And most importantly, he notices what life feels like when you are no longer chasing his attention. Let me tell you something. You were never supposed to convince somebody to value you. You were never supposed to beg somebody to communicate with you. You were never supposed to keep proving that you are worthy of love. Real love does not require you to constantly audition for a place in someone's life. And if you have reached a point where you are always the one initiating, always the one asking what's wrong, always the one trying to fix the distance, then maybe the answer is not to try harder. Maybe the answer is to step back, not to manipulate him, not to play games, not to make him jealous, but to give the situation enough silence for the truth to reveal itself. Because sometimes you cannot hear the truth when you are constantly talking. Sometimes you cannot see someone's effort because you are doing all the work for them. Sometimes you don't know whether someone truly wants you until you stop making it easy for them to have you without effort. And this is where your power begins. When you stop reaching out, you are not saying, I don't care about you. You are saying, I care about myself too. There is a difference. A powerful woman can love deeply without abandoning herself. She can miss a man without chasing him. She can care without begging. She can want someone without needing them to validate her worth. And that kind of woman is different because she understands something that many people learn too late. Attention is not the same thing as affection. Communication is not the same thing as commitment. And having access to someone is not the same thing as having their heart. You might have been so focused on getting his attention that you forgot to pay attention to yourself. You were checking your phone every few minutes, wondering why he had not replied, wondering whether you should send another message, wondering if you said something wrong, wondering if he was losing interest, wondering if you should apologize, even though you didn't do anything wrong. And every time you reached out because you were afraid of losing him, you were teaching yourself that keeping him mattered more than keeping your peace. Stop. Take your power back. Put the phone down. Let the silence exist. Because if a connection falls apart simply because you stopped doing all the work, then you did not destroy the connection. You revealed it. That is a painful truth, but it is also a freeing truth. A healthy relationship cannot survive on one person's effort forever. At some point, both people have to step forward. Both people have to communicate. Both people have to care. Both people have to make room for each other. And when you stop reaching out, you create an opportunity to see whether he is willing to step forward. When you stop stepping forward for him, that is what he notices first. He notices the missing messages, the missing calls, the missing emotional labor. He notices that the woman who used to always check on him is suddenly living her own life. And that can force him to confront a question he may have been avoiding. Why isn't she reaching out anymore? But here's where you need to be careful. Do not stop reaching out just to make him panic. Do not disappear because you want revenge. Do not turn silence into a weapon. Your silence should not be punishment. Your silence should be peace. There is a massive difference. When you stop reaching out from insecurity, you are sitting around waiting for him to notice. When you stop reaching out from self-respect, you are moving forward whether he notices or not. That's the difference between playing a game and changing your life. You are not stepping back so he will chase you. You are stepping back because you refuse to chase someone who should be meeting you halfway. And when you do that, something beautiful happens. You start noticing yourself again. You start sleeping better. You stop checking your phone constantly. You stop analyzing every word. You stop wondering why he liked someone else's picture but didn't answer your message. You stop creating stories in your head. You stop trying to decode a man who has the ability to communicate clearly, and you start asking better questions. Not how do I make him want me, but does this relationship give me the kind of love I deserve? Not How can I get him to text me? But why am I accepting a relationship where I have to beg for communication? Now, what should I do to make him afraid of losing me? But why am I afraid to lose someone who is not afraid to lose me? Those questions change everything, because the goal is not to make him afraid of losing you. The goal is to become so grounded in yourself that you are no longer afraid of walking away from what does not honor you. That is confidence. That is emotional maturity. That is self-respect. And men notice that. They notice when a woman no longer needs constant reassurance. They notice when she stops over-explaining. They notice when she stops chasing. They notice when she has a life outside of them. They notice when her happiness is not dependent on whether they text her back. And suddenly the dynamic changes, because the woman who was once waiting for his attention becomes the woman who is focused on her own direction. She is working on herself. She is taking care of her goals. She is spending time with people who love her. She is improving her health. She is building her confidence. She is laughing again. She is sleeping peacefully. She is becoming busy with a life that does not revolve around one person's availability. And that is attractive. Not because it is a trick, because independence reveals value. Think about it. When you are constantly available to someone who gives you very little, they may never understand what your presence actually means. But when you step back and reclaim your time, your energy, and your attention, the contrast becomes obvious. He starts remembering the conversations. He starts remembering the way you encouraged him. He starts remembering the little things you used to do. He starts realizing that your presence was not automatic. It was a choice. You chose to show up. You chose to care. You chose to support him. You chose to make time. And when you stop doing those things, he may finally understand that he had something valuable in front of him. But remember this, if he notices and comes back, that does not automatically mean he has changed. A message is not transformation. A phone call is not commitment. I miss you is not the same as I understand how I hurt you, and I am ready to do better. You have to watch behavior, because words can bring you back into the same cycle. Behavior tells you whether the cycle has actually ended. If he comes back only because he misses your attention, you will eventually find yourself right back where you started. But if he comes back with accountability, consistency, communication, and genuine effort, then you have something worth evaluating. Never confuse someone's fear of losing access to you with their desire to build a healthy relationship with you. Those are two different things, and you deserve to know the difference. Maybe right now you are thinking, but what if he never reaches out? Then you have your answer. And I know that answer can hurt, but sometimes the silence you fear is the truth you needed. If you stop reaching out and he never checks on you, never wonders where you are, never attempts to reconnect, then you did not lose a man because you stopped texting him. You discovered that you were the one holding the connection together. And that discovery may hurt your heart, but it can save your future. Because imagine spending another 6 months chasing someone who was never going to meet you halfway. Imagine another year of waiting, another year of anxiety, another year of wondering whether you are enough. You don't need that. You deserve a relationship where your heart can breathe. A relationship where you don't have to constantly ask for basic attention. A relationship where communication is not a battle. A relationship where love feels mutual. And sometimes the first step toward finding that relationship is walking away from the habit of chasing. So stop reaching out. Not because you are trying to control him, not because you want him to suffer, not because you want him to beg. Stop reaching out because your peace matters, your dignity matters, your time matters, your heart matters. And you matter even when nobody is texting you. That is something you need to remember. Your value does not increase when he calls. Your value does not decrease when he ignores you. His attention is not a measurement of your worth. His distance is not proof that you are unlovable. His inability to appreciate you does not mean you are not valuable. Sometimes people simply don't recognize what they have until they no longer have access to it. And sometimes they never recognize it. Either way, your responsibility is the same. Keep moving, keep growing, keep becoming. Because the greatest thing he can notice about you is not that you stop texting. It is that you stop abandoning yourself. And once you stop abandoning yourself, everything changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You think differently. You choose differently. You stop accepting crumbs because you remember what a full table feels like. You stop begging for consistency because you understand that consistency is the minimum. You stop chasing closure because you realize that sometimes closure is simply accepting what someone's actions already told you. And you stop asking, how can I make him stay? You start asking, does he deserve to stay? That is the question. Because you are not here to convince somebody to love you. You are here to build a life where love complements your happiness instead of becoming the price you pay for it. So let him notice your silence. Let him notice your absence. Let him notice the difference. But while he is noticing you, make sure you are noticing yourself. Notice how much stronger you are becoming. Notice how much peace you have when you stop forcing things. Notice how much energy you have when you stop chasing answers. Note how beautiful your life can become when you stop making one person the center of it. And if he comes back, don't rush. Let's watch. Observe. Let his actions speak. Because this time, you are not looking for attention. You are looking for intention. You are not looking for a temporary reaction. You are looking for consistent effort. You are not looking for someone who misses you when you disappear. You are looking for someone who values you while you are present. That is the standard, and never lower it because you are afraid of being alone. Being alone for a season is better than being emotionally alone in a relationship. You would rather have peace by yourself than anxiety with somebody. You would rather miss someone who was wrong for you than lose yourself trying to make them right for you. And you would rather walk away with your dignity than stay somewhere that requires you to beg for basic respect. So take your hands off the phone. Stop writing the message. Stop checking whether he is online. Stop wondering who he is talking to. Stop creating excuses for behavior that hurts you. Stop chasing and start living, because when you stop reaching out, the biggest thing he may notice is not your silence. He may notice the woman behind the silence. The woman who finally remembered her worth. The woman who no longer needs to chase love. The woman who understands that if someone truly wants to be part of her life, they will make an effort to be there. And if they don't, she will still be okay, because she has herself, she has her purpose, she has her future, she has her peace, and she has finally learned the most powerful lesson of all. You do not have to chase what is truly meant to meet you halfway. Let the silence reveal the effort. Let the distance reveal the intention. Let time reveal the truth. And most importantly, let this season reveal you to yourself. Because the moment you stop chasing someone else's attention is often the moment you finally start giving your own life the attention it deserves. And that is when everything begins to change. Now understand this. When you stop reaching out, the hardest part is not the silence. The hardest part is resisting the urge to break it. Because there will be moments when your heart tells you, just send one message. Just check on him. Just ask how his day is going. Just see if everything is okay. Just remind him that you are still there. But sometimes that one message is not really about him. It is about your anxiety. It is about wanting reassurance. It is about wanting proof that he still cares. And every time you respond to that anxiety by reaching out, you teach yourself that discomfort must be solved immediately. But mature love requires you to learn how to sit with discomfort without betraying yourself. You can miss him and still remain silent. You can love him and still create distance. You can think about him and still choose yourself. You can want him and still refuse to chase him. That is strength. Strength does not mean you stop having feelings. Strength means your feelings no longer control your decisions. You might still wonder where he is. You might still wonder whether he misses you. You might still remember his voice, his smile, his touch, the conversations you share. That is normal. You are human. But don't let nostalgia convince you to return to a situation that gave you anxiety. Remember the whole story, not just the moments that made you smile. Remember the nights you felt ignored. Remember the times you waited for a response. Remember how often you questioned your position in his life. Remember how exhausted you became trying to understand mixed signals. Because sometimes we miss the person while forgetting how we felt around them. And that is dangerous. You cannot build your future based only on your favorite memories. You have to consider the pattern. Patros tell the truth. If he was consistent, respectful, emotionally available, and genuinely invested, then your distance may simply give both of you space to communicate better. But if he repeatedly disappeared, returned when convenient, gave you attention when he wanted something, and left you confused the rest of the time, then stopping your pursuit is not a strategy. It is a boundary. And boundaries change the kind of people who have access to you. The moment you stop accepting inconsistent behavior, inconsistent people either step up or step away. Both outcomes are useful because you don't need everyone to stay. You need the right people to stay. That's a completely different mindset. Stop measuring success by whether he comes back. Measure success by whether you stay true to yourself. If he reaches out and you feel tempted to immediately give him everything he wants, slow down. Ask yourself what has actually changed. Has his behavior changed? Has his communication changed? Has his consistency changed? Has his effort changed? Or did he simply notice that you stopped giving him attention? Because a man can miss your presence without being ready to appreciate your value. He can miss your messages. He can miss your affection. He can miss the comfort you provided. He can miss knowing that someone was always there. But missing what you gave him is not the same as being ready to give something back. That distinction can save you from repeating the same heartbreak. Never let loneliness make decisions that your self-respect will have to pay for later. Read that again in your mind. Never let loneliness make decisions that your self-respect will have to pay for later. Because loneliness is temporary, the consequences of choosing the wrong person can last much longer. You don't need to rush back because he finally sent, hey, you don't need to celebrate because he finally watched your story. You don't need to interpret every little sign as proof that he is changing. You need evidence, real evidence, consistency, effort, clarity, respect, communication. Those things are not too much to ask. They are the foundation of a healthy relationship. And if you have to lower your standards just to keep somebody interested, then you are not keeping love. You are keeping a connection alive at the expense of yourself. There is a difference. And I want you to understand something else. When you stop reaching out, you may discover that you were addicted to the cycle, not the person, the waiting, the uncertainty, the small amount of attention followed by distance, the excitement when he finally replied, the anxiety when he disappeared again, the relief when he came back. That cycle can feel powerful because every little bit of attention feels like a reward, but healthy love should not feel like gambling. You should not have to keep waiting for the next emotional jackpot. Love should not constantly leave you wondering whether you are winning or losing. You deserve stability. You deserve peace. You deserve someone whose presence does not require you to constantly question your worth. So when you stop reaching out, don't just sit there watching the door. Build another path, build another future. Put your energy somewhere that gives something back. Work on your goals. Learn something new. Take care of your body. Spend time with people who make you laugh. Reconnect with the parts of yourself that disappeared while you were trying to make the relationship work. Maybe you stopped doing the things you loved. Maybe you stopped dressing for yourself. Maybe you stopped pursuing your dreams. Maybe your whole emotional world became centered around whether he was paying attention. Bring yourself back. Come home to yourself because you should never have to lose yourself to keep someone else. The right relationship will not require that sacrifice. And here's another thing he may notice that you no longer explain yourself. You don't send paragraphs trying to prove your intentions. You don't defend every decision. You don't beg him to understand your feelings. You simply become clear. I know what I want. I know what I deserve. And I know what I will no longer accept. That kind of clarity is powerful, not loud, not dramatic, not aggressive, just powerful. You don't have to announce your boundaries. You don't have to post quotes about being unbothered. You don't have to upload pictures just to make him jealous. You don't have to show him how happy you are. Real confidence doesn't need an audience. You simply live. And eventually people notice. They notice when you stop reacting. They notice when you stop chasing. They notice when you stop trying to prove that you are worth choosing. And the most interesting thing is that the more you stop trying to be chosen, the more carefully you begin choosing. You start asking yourself better questions. Does this person bring peace into my life? Can I trust their words? Do their actions match what they say? Do I feel respected? Can I communicate without fear? Do I feel emotionally safe? Does this relationship make me stronger or constantly make me question myself? Those questions matter more than chemistry, because chemistry can make you attracted to someone, but character determines whether you should stay. And if his character consistently leaves you exhausted, your attraction cannot fix that. You cannot love someone into becoming emotionally available. You cannot communicate enough for someone who refuses to communicate. You cannot give enough for someone who has decided to give the bare minimum. You cannot prove your value to someone committed to overlooking it. At some point, you have to stop explaining and start observing. Observe what happens when you stop initiating. Observe what happens when you stop making excuses. Observe what happens when you stop accepting less. The truth will become visible. And once the truth becomes visible, believe it. Don't negotiate with it. Don't argue with it. Don't romanticize it. Believe it. If he steps up, observe the consistency. If he walks away, let him walk. If he returns, don't forget why you stepped back. Your boundaries should not disappear simply because he became temporarily attentive. And if he never returns, don't interpret that as rejection of your worth. Interpret it as redirection. Maybe the relationship was not your destination. Maybe it was a lesson. Maybe it was there to teach you how much you were willing to tolerate. Maybe it was there to show you what happens when you keep choosing someone who does not choose you back. Maybe it was there to teach you the importance of self-respect. And maybe the next chapter of your life requires a version of you that no longer chases. A woman who knows her value does not need to convince anyone. She does not compete for attention. She does not beg for consistency. She does not chase explanations from people who have already shown her their priorities. She listens, she observes, she decides, and then she moves accordingly. That does not make her cold. It makes her emotionally intelligent. She can still love. She can still be soft. She can still be affectionate. She can still believe in relationships. But she does not confuse softness with self-abandonment. She understands that being loving does not mean being endlessly available to someone who gives nothing back. You can have a soft heart and strong boundaries. You can forgive someone and still not give them access to you. You can care about someone and still decide that they are not good for your life. You can miss someone and still move forward. That is emotional freedom. And perhaps the greatest thing you can do right now is stop asking what he is thinking. Ask what you are thinking. Stop asking whether he misses you. Ask whether you missed the relationship or simply missed the attention. Stop asking whether he will come back. Ask whether you would even accept the same version of him if he did. Stop asking whether he noticed your silence. Ask whether you noticed your own strength, because maybe this entire situation was never about getting him to chase you. Maybe it was about getting you to stop chasing him. Maybe the lesson was never, how do I make him realize what he lost? Maybe the lesson was, why did I forget what I had in myself? You had dreams before him. You had ambition before him. You had a personality before him. You had a life before him. And that woman is still inside you. She is waiting for you to stop looking outside yourself for permission to feel valuable. She is waiting for you to stop measuring your beauty through someone's attention. She is waiting for you to stop making someone else's behavior the ruler by which you measure your worth. Your worth was never up for negotiation. So let the phone stay silent. Let the unanswered questions remain unanswered for a while. You don't have to solve everything today. Sometimes the best decision is simply to stop interfering and allow people to reveal themselves. If he cares, he will have an opportunity to show it. If he values you, he will have an opportunity to demonstrate it. If he wants a relationship, he will have an opportunity to pursue one. And if he does nothing, you will know. That knowledge may hurt, but uncertainty hurts longer. You deserve clarity. You deserve peace. You deserve a relationship where effort is mutual. So don't fear the silence. You it. Let it strengthen you. Let it teach you. Let it expose what you could not see while you were constantly trying to hold everything together. And if one day he comes back, remember the woman you became in his absence. Remember the peace you found. Remember the confidence you rebuilt. Remember how you learned to live without waiting. Do not trade that version of yourself for temporary attention. Make him meet the new standard, not with words, with actions, not for one day, over time, not because he is afraid of losing access, because he genuinely values the opportunity to build something healthy with you. And if he cannot meet that standard, Let him go not with anger, not with revenge, not with bitterness. Let him go with gratitude for the lesson. Because every ending can become the beginning of a stronger version of you. One day, you may look back at the woman who was constantly checking her phone and wonder why she ever believed that love had to feel like anxiety. You may look back and realize that the silence you once feared became the silence that saved you. You may realize that stopping one message opened the door to a completely different life, a life where you no longer chase, a life where you no longer beg, a life where you no longer settle, a life where you choose peace over confusion, a life where you understand that your presence is a gift, not something you need to force someone to appreciate. So if you are listening to this right now and you have been the one doing all the reaching out, take a breath. You don't have to send another message tonight. You don't have to explain yourself again. You don't have to chase a response. You don't have to prove that you care. Give the situation room to breathe and give yourself room to grow. Because sometimes the strongest message you can send is no message at all. Sometimes your absence says what your words could never say. And sometimes walking away from the chase is the first step toward walking into the life you were meant to live. Let him notice, but don't wait for him to notice. Let him wonder, but don't spend your days wondering. Let him miss you, but don't miss yourself. That is the real victory. Not making him chase, not making him jealous, not making him regret. The real victory is reaching a place where whether he comes back or not, you are still standing, still smiling, still growing, still loving yourself, still moving forward. Because when you finally understand your value, you stop asking people to confirm it. You confirm it through your choices. And your choice today can be simple. I will not chase what refuses to meet me halfway. I will not beg for what should be freely given. I will not abandon myself just to keep someone else. I will not confuse attention with love. I will not mistake temporary effort for lasting change. I will protect my peace. I will honor my boundaries. I will trust actions, and I will keep moving forward because the right person will not require you to lose yourself just to keep them. The right person will meet you. The right person will communicate. The right person will make effort. The right person will appreciate your presence while they have it. And until that person arrives, become so deeply rooted in yourself that you never again confuse being wanted with being valued. Stop reaching out. Stop chasing. Stop forcing. Start living. And watch what happens, not just to what he notices about you, but to what you finally notice about yourself. You are stronger than the silence. You are stronger than the unanswered message. You are stronger than the uncertainty. And you are absolutely strong enough to walk away from anything that repeatedly asks you to sacrifice your dignity for attention. Your future does not depend on whether he comes back. Your future depends on whether you are willing to keep choosing yourself. So choose yourself today, tomorrow, and every day after that. Because the moment you stop chasing someone else's attention is the moment you begin giving your own life the attention it has been waiting for. And that is where your real power begins.